Hello friends, welcome to Chowdary Sir Aptitude classes. In this video, let's have a look at the concept of profit, loss and discount. For this chapter, the basic requirement is having the knowledge of percentages. Without having the proper knowledge of percentages, shortcuts of profit, loss and discount is not possible. Now let's go ahead with the concept over here. The basic thing that you have to understand over here is, in any business concern, you will be having a cost price. Cost price in the sense, the price at which the article is bought. Say, suppose you are a businessman, you are purchasing an article for 100 rupees. After purchasing the article for 100 rupees, you cannot reveal the price to the customer and you cannot ask for the profit. You have to mark it at a different price. So you cannot directly tell the customer about your cost price and you cannot demand the customer to pay you the profit. The customer will never show interest in paying the profit. Now what you have to do over here is mark the price at a price which is more than the price at which you have purchased. As you have purchased at 100, mark it at a price more than that. Say suppose you are marking it at 60% above the cost price. So the price, whatever we are going to get now, represents the marked price. Marked price. This is the price at which you have marked the price of the article. After marking it above, you cannot directly ask the customer to pay the full amount. Customers will always expect some discount from the seller. That's why to attract the customers to the business, we try to offer some discount over here. Say suppose you are offering some discount over here, a discount of 20% is being offered. The discount will be offered on this one. So 20% of 160 will be 32. So 10% of 160 is 16, 20% will be 32. After offering a discount of 32, the article will be sold for 128. That becomes the selling price of the article. So in this case, what we have seen, first thing we have learned over here is markup. This markup percent is always taken on, markup percent is always taken on the cost price. This is called as discount. Discount percent is always taken on the marked price. Discount percent is always calculated on the marked price. In the transaction, whatever is the profit or loss you are getting will always be calculated on the cost price. So 100 rupees article is sold for 128 means in the transaction there is a profit or gain, both are same. There is a profit of 28 rupees for every 100, hence I can call it as 28% profit is there in the transaction. 28% profit is there in the transaction. Now let's go ahead with the basic problems that can come based on that whatever I have taught. Chalo dear, let's start now. So here markup percent is always calculated on CP. That's what I said. CP stands for cost price. Markup percent is always calculated on cost price. So if CP is to MP is 5 is to 8, find markup percent. So here 5 rupees article is marked at 8 rupees means there is a markup in the transaction. That markup is how much percent? So as 5 rupees article is marked at 8 rupees, there is a markup of 3 rupees. So 5 rupees article is marked at 8 means there is a markup of 3 rupees. So in the transaction there is a markup of 3 for every 5. To convert that into percentage, you have to multiply it with 100. There is a markup of 3 for every 5. How much percent means you have to multiply it with 100. So that gives you how much percent over there? 60% markup is there. So whenever you are going for markup percent, we always take markup on the cost price. What is the markup that is there? That will be compared with the cost price over there. After marking it up, as I said, we have to offer some discount. So next one, discount percent is always calculated on MP. So discount percent is always calculated on the marked price. That's the meaning, marked price. So if market price is to selling price equal to 8:7, find a discount percent. So here market price is to selling price is 8:7. I need discount percent. So here 8 rupees article is sold at 7 rupees. In the transaction they are offering a discount of 1 rupee. Hence I can say that discount percent is equal to 8 rupees article is sold for 7 means there is a discount of 1 for every 8. So 1 by 8 into 100. So 1 by 8 into 100 is nothing but 12.5% or 12.5%. So here in this transaction there is a discount of 12.5%. The third thing, after applying the discount, we will arrive at the selling price. That selling price tells us whether there is a profit or loss in the transaction. So the profit or loss percent is always calculated on the cost price. So profit or loss percent is always calculated on the cost price. So first example. So 5 rupees article is sold for 7 rupees. In that first transaction there is a gain. Cost price is to selling price. This is 5:7. 5:7. In this transaction there is a profit or gain, I can say. There is a gain. A gain percent of how much? There is a gain of 2 rupees for every 5. To convert that into percentage, multiply it with 100. So that is giving you a gain of 40%. Gain of 40%. Coming to the second case, cost price and selling price are in the ratio 5:4. So 5 rupee article is sold for 4 rupees. 5 rupee article is sold for 4 rupees. In the transaction there is a loss. A loss of how much? 5 rupees article is sold at 4 means there is a loss of 1 for every 5. To convert that into percentage, multiply it with 100. That gives you how much percentage here? 20%. So in the first transaction there is a profit. The profit was 2 rupees on 5 rupees. Second case there is a loss because selling price is less than the cost price. So there is a loss. A loss of 1 rupee on a cost price of 5 rupees. That is corresponding to 20%. These are the three basic points that you have to understand. One is markup percent. Second one is discount percent. Third one is profit or loss percent. After these three things, when you are purchasing the article, after purchasing the article to transport it or maybe to repair it, you may be spending some money on that. If you are incurring any expenditure on the item you have purchased, that expenditure you are incurring has to be added to the cost price. So any expenditure for that matter. So the money that is spent on repairs, maintenance, transportation, packing, overhead expenses, etc. must be added to the cost price. So any expenditure that is incurred for that matter should be added to the cost price. Keep this in mind. Let's have a look at an example. Lisa bought a second-hand laptop for rupees 24,000 and spends rupees 6,000 on its repair. She is spending 6,000 on its repair. If she sells the laptop for rupees 45,000, then calculate her profit percentage. She is purchasing for 24,000 and spending 6,000 on that, which means the effective cost price will now become how much? So effective cost price will now become, so she has purchased for 24,000. After purchasing it for 24,000, she is spending 6,000 on that. So that is 24,000 plus 6,000. 24,000 plus 6,000. That is the effective cost price. Effective cost price is 30,000. Now she is selling it for rupees 45,000. 30,000 article is sold for 45,000. 30,000 article is sold for rupees 45,000. Means by selling that she is having a gain. That gain has to be taken on her effective cost price. So the cost price is not 24,000 anymore, because after purchasing she is spending some money on that. So that expenditure has to be added to the cost price. That's why the effective cost price now is 30,000. Now she is selling it for 45,000, means there is a gain in the transaction. A gain of how much? So there is a gain of 15,000 on a cost price of, there is a gain of 15,000 on a cost price of 30,000, on a cost price of 30,000. To convert that into percentage, multiply it with 100. That gives you how much? This gives you 1 by 2. 1 by 2 means how much percent here? 50%. So she is having a gain of 50% in the transaction. Hence your answer has to be 50% gain. Hence that has to be option D. Option D. Right, dear? Next, let's go ahead with the next type. If the cost price of 8 articles equals selling price of 6 articles, then find the profit or loss percent. So here the cost price of each article we don't know. Selling price of each article we do not know. What we know is cost price of 8 equal to selling price of 6. You try to follow the simple technique that I am going to give. The technique goes like this. Always start with the selling price. How many articles are being sold you take. Just follow the technique. I am going to convert this into ratio method. Right? How I do? Let's observe. How many articles are sold? 6 articles are sold. By selling 6 articles, selling price of 6 articles, if I am getting the cost price of 6 articles, in the transaction no profit, no loss. But in the transaction they said, by selling 6 articles, we are getting the cost price of 8 articles. So if by selling 6 articles, if I get the cost price of 6 articles, no profit or no loss. But by selling 6 articles, I am getting the money of 8 articles. Means there is a gain. Because I sold only 6 articles, I am receiving the money for 8 articles. That's what we mean by. Now this, as it is off is nothing but into, you can write it as 6 into SP. 6 into SP is equal to 8 into CP for our convenience. This gives you the ratio of CP/SP. CP is to SP is equal to CP by SP. Send SP that side. CP by SP equal to 6 by 8. That is 6 is to 8. 6 is to 8. What is the ratio here? 3 is to 4. In the transaction, there is a gain. In the transaction, there is a gain of 3 rupees article is sold for 4, means there is a gain of 1 for every 3. To convert that into percentage, multiply it with 100. So once you get the ratio of cost price and selling price, profit or loss, you can easily find. So there is a gain of 1 by 3. So there is a gain of 1 for every 3. So that's why it is 33.33% gain. Right, dear? Next, let's go for the next example. If the cost price of 40 oranges is equal to the selling price of 50 oranges, then find the profit or loss percent. So cost price of 40 is equal to selling price of 50. So let us start with the selling price, as we have already learned. How many oranges are being sold? 50 oranges are being sold. Selling price of 50 is equal to only cost price of 40. Selling price of 50 equal to cost price of 40. So you sold 50 articles, but you are receiving the money only for 40 articles. Means there is a loss. Right? That's a hint. So here, as we have already learned, that off is nothing but into, you can write it as 50 times of SP is equal to 40 times of CP, you write it as. That gives you the ratio of CP and SP as CP is to SP is equal to 50 is to 40. 50 is to 40 means, what is the ratio dear? 5 is to 4. 5 is to 4. So 5 rupee article is sold for 4 rupees. That's the meaning. So 5 is to 4 means in the transaction there is a loss. A loss of how much? So in the transaction there is a loss. A loss of how much? 1 for every 5. 1 by 5 into 100. That gives you how much percent here? 20%. So there is a loss of 20% in the transaction. Hence it has to be 20% loss in the transaction. Right? Option B. Right here. Next problem. So here sometimes they will mention you, by selling these many articles I am gaining these many articles or losing these many articles. Then how do we handle? Look at this. By selling 12 notebooks, a merchant gains the selling price of 4 notebooks. Meaning, as I told you, always start with SP. By selling 12 notebooks means selling price of 12 notebooks is equal to, if he is getting the cost price of 12 notebooks, in the transaction there is no profit, no loss. There is no profit, no loss. That is called as break-even point. But he is saying there is a gain of selling price of 4. So apart from getting the cost price, he is getting something more. That's why there is a gain. That gain he is getting is equal to selling price of 4. Please be careful with this. Sometimes they say this profit is equal to selling price of 4 or maybe cost price of 4. That needs to be written properly. Depending on whether it is given as SP of 4 here or CP of 4, your answer will get affected. Right? Please be careful. If there is a profit, he is getting something more than the cost price. If there is a loss, instead of plus, I will use minus. That's all. Throw that SP of 4 this side. That will now give you SP of 12 minus SP of 4 is equal to SP of 8. SP of 8 is equal to CP of 12. CP of 12. As we have already learned this model previously, I can now directly write CP-SP ratio as CP is to SP is equal to 8 is to 12. The ratio is 2 is to 3. 4 2s are 4 3s are. In the transaction there is a gain. 2 rupee article is sold for 3 means there is a gain over here. A gain of 1 for every 2. 1 by 2 into 100. That gives you how much percent here? 50% gain. 50% gain is there in the transaction. Hence it has to be 50% gain. That should be option A. Next example. A dishonest fruit vendor professes to sell the goods at cost price. He is professing to sell the goods at cost price means he is selling it at the cost price. He is saying he is selling it at cost price, but he is cheating by giving what? But uses a weight of 800 grams for the kilogram weight. Instead of 1 kilogram weight, that fellow is using only 800 grams. Means he is selling you 800 grams, saying that he is taking only cost price, collecting the cost price of 1 kilo from you, which means, meaning of this statement you understand. He is selling you 800 grams, he is selling you 800 grams, but he is professing that he is taking only cost price, he is collecting the cost price of 1 kilo from you. 1 kilo means 1000 grams. You are paying the money for 1000 grams, but that fellow is giving you only 800 grams. He is cheating you by weight. He is cheating you by weight. Now going ahead with, if you now go for the ratio of CP-SP with the same previous thoughts we have seen. Now if I want CP-SP here, CP by SP equal to 800 is to 1000. So CP is to SP will give you 800 is to 1000. 800 is to 1000. That will give you 4 is to 5. Now there is a gain of how much over here? In the transaction there is a gain. A gain of how much? 4 rupee article is sold for 5 means there is a gain of 1 for every 4. So 1 by 4 into 100. That should give you how much percent here? 25%. 25%. So this 25% gain is what? So 1 by 4, now 25% means 1 by 4. Out of that 1 by 4, 4 is corresponding to 800. 4 is corresponding to 800, false weight. 4 plus 1 together 5 is corresponding to actual weight, that is 1000. Keep that in mind, I'll use that. Right dear? I'll use that knowledge in the next problem. Sometimes there is a formula for this, error by false weight into 100. I won't deal with the formula. Nowadays, instead of they asking you for what is the profit or loss percent in the transaction, they are giving you profit or loss percent. They are giving you profit or loss percent. They are asking you how many grams weight is used instead of 1 kilo in that scenario. Opposite. Let us see one example to give you that clarity. A merchant professes to sell the goods at cost price, but by using false weight, he gains 11.11%. By using false weight, he gains 11.11%. How many grams weight did he use for 1 kilogram weight? Now let's go back to what we have learned already. By selling it at the cost price, if there is a gain of 25%, that 25% is nothing but what? Fractional equivalent 1 by 4. In this one, true weight must be linked to, after getting the fraction, true weight must be linked to this total, that is 5. False weight must be linked to the denominator. False weight must be linked to 4. So if kilo weight is 1000 grams, instead of 1000 grams, how many grams I have to use to gain that? 4 parts, which is nothing but 800. In the same manner, if there is a gain of 11.11%, what you can do here is 11.11% is nothing but 1 by 9 fraction. True weight must be linked to this total. Total is what? 10. Is to false weight should be linked to the denominator, that is 9. So original weight is 1000 grams only. If 10 parts is corresponding to 1000, 9 parts must correspond to what? 100 times 100 times. Hence he has to use how many grams for 1 kilogram weight? 900 grams. Hence your answer has to be 900 grams. That should be option A. Let us see one more for your clarity. Say suppose there is a gain of 14.2/7%. Let us say. Or to make it more advanced, let me take 42.6/7%. There is a gain of 42.6/7%. 42.6/7% equivalent fraction is 3/7. True weight should be linked to this total. So 3 plus 7 is 10. 10 parts. False weight must be linked to the denominator, that is 7. This 10 parts must be linked to 1 kilo. If 10 parts is 1000, 7 parts is how much? That should be 700. Hence in place of 1 kilogram, how many grams must be used so that you will have a 42.6/7% gain? You have to use 700 grams in place of 1 kilo to gain 42.6/7%. Like this, if they give you gain percent by selling it at the cost price, if still there is a gain, that means he is using the false weight. What is that false weight he is using instead of 1 kilo can be estimated by this reverse engineering process. So what is that? Percentage equivalent, like percentage equivalent fraction we have to write. So after that you just add numerator and denominator, you link that with the true weight. Denominator should be written here, that corresponds to the false weight. That is a technique for handling the problems related to faulty balances. ఇప్పుడు అనుకున్నా మా వాడు ఫోన్ చేస్తాడు అని ఇంకో డౌట్ వచ్చింది. బ్రెయిన్ ట్రీనా డ్రీమ్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్ అని పెట్టా.
ఏం పెట్టు బ్రెయిన్ డార్లింగ్ చెప్పు డార్లింగ్ చెప్పు లేదు నిద్రపోయేంత ఫ్రీడమ్ ఉందా మాకు ప్రకాష్ పడుకొని ఇస్తాడా షూటింగ్ చేస్తాను లేదు చెప్పాను ఎల్లుండి నుంచి ఉన్న బ్యాచ్ 5 daysలో అవ్వదు కొన్ని టాపిక్స్ షూట్ చేసి పెట్టుకున్నాం అనుకో యూట్యూబ్లో అరే మనకి అది అడ్వర్టైజింగ్ పనికి వస్తుంది వాళ్ళు దాంట్లో చూసుకుని మనకి ఛానల్ కూడా ట్రాఫిక్ పెరుగుతుంది ఏం చెప్తాం అంతే కొన్ని టాపిక్లు చెప్పాము అవి లింక్ ఇచ్చేసి దీంట్లో చూసుకోండి అని చెప్తా మన ఛానల్లో పెడతా అది షూట్ చేసుకుంటున్నాం అట్లా ఏది అది ఫ్రీ అది యూట్యూబ్ ఛానల్లో పెడుతుంది అది యూట్యూబ్ ఛానల్లో పెడతా యూట్యూబ్ ఛానల్ కింద స్ట్రిప్ మన యాప్ లింక్ పెడతాం అలా డైరెక్ట్గా మన ఇంటికి తీసుకురా మొత్తం అంతా తిప్పి పార్కులు అన్ని ఓషన్ పార్క్ ఇందిరా పార్క్ అన్ని పార్కులు తిప్పి ఫైన్ అప్పుడు ఇంటికి తీసుకొస్తాం అది మేడం నువ్వు వస్తే వస్తాం ప్రకాష్ కూడా చెప్తున్నా ఏడున్నావు ఆల్రెడీ లోపల ఉన్నావా ఆల్రెడీ ఓకే ఇప్పుడు ఎక్కడున్నావు చెప్పు ఆడేం చేస్తా అంటే లోపలికి పోలేదు నువ్వు బుక్స్కి లేదు ఛార్జింగ్లో పెట్టి ఉంటే సరే నువ్వు దగ్గరకు వచ్చి ఫోన్ చేయి ప్రాబ్లం మధ్యలో ఉంది నేను చెప్పేసి కిందకు వస్తాను ఓకే నేను రెడీ ఫోన్ రింగ్ అయితే ప్రకాష్ తీస్తాలే ఫోన్ నువ్వు కాల్ చేయి దగ్గరకు సీన్ భాయ్ ఆ ఫోన్ వస్తే చెప్పాలి
Next, let's have a look at next problem. A shopkeeper purchased some balloons at 12 for rupees 10 and sells them at 10 for rupees 12. Then find his profit or loss percent. So going ahead with here, try to get the cost price of each and selling price of each. Purchasing 12 balloons for rupees 10 means cost price of each balloon would be I can find each to selling price of each balloon. Cost price of each balloon would be rupees 10 by 12. Selling price of each balloon would be rupees 12 by 10. For 12 rupees we are selling 10. Now you try to get the plain ratio over here. To do that, you try to multiply each of these fractions with the LCM of denominators. So LCM of 12 and 10 you take and multiply both the parts of the ratio with the same number. Multiplying each term of the ratio with the same number will not affect the value of the ratio. That's what we know in ratio topic. If so, multiply this with the LCM of 12 and 10, that is 60. Multiply this also with LCM of 12 and 10, that is 60. So that it will now become a plain figure. 12 5s are 60, 10 5s are 50. Cost price of each article becomes 50. 10 6 so 12 6 72. That will be the ratio now. 50:72 will be the ratio of cost price and selling price. That becomes the ratio of cost price and selling price. Though, like from this we can now find gain. Gain percent is equal to 50 rupees article is sold for 72 means there is a gain of 22 for every 50. 22 by 50 into 100. That gives you how much percent, dear? 44%. 44%. Hence your answer has to be 44% gain. That should be option A. Next type. So here, by selling an article at a discount of 15%, a merchant gains 2%, then find markup percent. Here you have to establish the equation relationship here. What is given over there? You are offering a discount of 15%. Still there is a gain of 2%. Means discount is always given on the market price. We know on the market price you apply a discount of 15%. That gives you the selling price. This is corresponding to the selling price. That selling price is equal to what? That selling price is fetching a gain of 2%. So that is equal to cost price plus 2% of cost price. Cost price plus 2% of cost price. That is giving you how much, dear? 85% of the market price. 85% of the market price. 85% of the market price is equal to 102% of cost price. 102% of cost price. 102% of cost price. Now go for cancellation over here. That gives you the ratio of MP and CP. So 17.5s are 17.6. That gives you the ratio of CP and MP. So what is the ratio of cost price and market price? That is equal to 5:6. So 5 rupees article is marked at 6 means there is a markup. There is a markup of 1. So markup percent is equal to, there is a markup of how much, dear? 1 for every 5. To convert that into percentage, multiply it with 100. That gives you how much percent? 20%. Hence I can say that in the transaction there is a markup of 20%. There are 3 types of questions that can come over here. One, they can ask you for markup percent. Second, by giving you the relation and by giving you one of the CP or MP, they will give you CP and will ask you for MP, or they will give you MP and they will ask you for CP. These are the 3 possible type of questions that can come based on this model. A shopkeeper earns a profit of 25% after allowing 10% discount on the list price. List price is nothing but market price only. What is the cost price of an article whose list price is 500? So they have given the list price over here. Means indirectly they have given you the market price and are asking you for the cost price. So as we have already learned, we will try to establish the relation the way I have taught already. Now as the discount is offered, 10% discount is offered, that will correspond to 90% of the market price. Because market price is reduced by 10%, that becomes 90% of the market price. That will fetch you a gain of 25%, means it corresponds to 125% of the cost price. Because the gain is taken on the cost price, so cost price plus 25% will give you the selling price over there. Now from this, as we have already seen, we will get the ratio of CP and MP by going for cancellation here. With cancellation of 5, with 5 it goes 18 times, with 5 it goes 25 times. That gives you the ratio of CP and MP. Cost price is to market price is equal to CP by MP equal to 18 by 25. That is the ratio of cost price and market price. Out of this, they have given the market price or list price. This 25 parts value is given as 500. This 18 parts is how much? This is what we are supposed to find. How many times here? 20 times. Take 20 times. That will give you 360 rupees. Hence I can say that the cost price is 360 rupees. Next, let us see. In the next problem, they will give you CP and they will ask you for MP. By selling an article at a discount of 20%, a merchant gains 5%. A merchant gains 15%. If the cost price is 640, then find the market price. Same logic. Frame the relation first. There is a discount of 15%. There is a discount of 20%. Profit of 15. 20% discount if it is offered, that corresponds to 80% of the market price. And that is giving you a gain of 15%, means that is corresponding to 115% of cost price. 115% of cost price. On cancellation, 516s, 523s. This gives you the ratio of CP and MP again.
cost price is to market price is equal to CP by MP equal to 16 by 23. So that gives you 16 is to 23 as the ratio of CP and MP. Out of this, we know CP, that CP value is given as 640, which is corresponding to 16 parts. 16 parts are 640. 23 parts are how much? Check this is how many times of this. Take that many times over here. That gives you how much? 40 times here. As this is 40 times here, here also you take 40 times. 23 into 40 gives you how much, dear? 920 rupees. Hence I can say that the answer for this is what? Market price will be 920 rupees. These are the three types of problems that can come based on that data. One, they can ask you for markup percent. Two, by giving you CP, they can ask you for MP. Three, by giving you MP, they can ask you for CP. Beyond these three, there is no other way of framing the question based on this particular data. Next, let's have a look at the next concept. If the profit or percentage of profit obtained by selling an article for rupees X is equal to the loss or percentage of loss incurred when it is sold for rupees Y, then CP equal to X plus Y by 2. Meaning, whenever you are having the article, it has some cost price. By selling it for rupees X, you are gaining some amount. There is a gain if you are selling it for X. If you are selling it for Y, there is a loss. Let us say. So if at all you have this type of scenario, that cost price in that case will be equal to the average of this X and Y. The average of this X and Y. Hence I can say that CP equal to X plus Y by 2. But the doubt from many students is, sir, how did it come? Valid. So how do we get the profit? So the profit is selling price minus cost price. If selling price is more than cost price, that is profit. Cost price minus selling price will give you loss. This is loss. This is profit. This is loss. Frame the equation, you will get it. X minus CP is equal to CP minus Y. From this I can say 2CP is equal to, sending this CP that side, 2CP equal to X plus Y. From that I can say CP equal to X plus Y by 2. CP is equal to X plus Y by 2. That's how that formula has come. Have a look at the example related to this. The profit obtained by selling an article for rupees 1120 is same as the loss incurred when it is sold for rupees 480. At what price must the article be sold to gain 30%? You try to get the cost price over here. To get the cost price over here, you can simply do like this. To get the cost price, you simply apply the formula. Cost price is equal to 1120 plus 480 by 2. That will give you 1600 by 2. That gives you how much, dear? 800. Cost price is 800. To gain 30%, you have to sell it at what price? Cost price is 800 we got. To gain 30%, I have to sell it at a value which is 30% more than this. So 30% of 800 will be 240 profit I have to take. So selling price must be 1040. I have to sell it for 1040 rupees in order to gain 30% in the transaction. Next. When selling price is doubled, the loss percent gets converted into equal gain percent. When selling price is doubled, loss percent gets converted into equal gain percent. Then find the loss percent. Okay. When selling price is doubled, the loss percent is getting converted into equal gain percent means, observe this diagram. Cost price over here. In the initial case, there was a loss. Say suppose the selling price is yes, there was some loss percent over here. If loss percent and gain percent are equal, that means loss and gain are equal. So when it was sold at yes, there was a loss. If I double this selling price becomes 2s. In this case, there will be a gain.
So when I go from this selling price to this selling price, this loss is getting converted into the equal gain, means this cost price will be equal to the average of these two selling prices. Hence I can say that cost price is equal to S plus 2S by 2. That will give you cost price is equal to 3S by 2. That will give you cost price is to selling price is equal to 3:2. C by S equal to 3:2. So what is the loss percent? So when you were selling it for S, what was the loss percent they are asking for? So the cost price is corresponding to 3S and the selling price is corresponding to 2. In the transaction there is a loss here. A loss of how much? 3 rupee article is sold for 2 means there is a loss of 1 for every 3. So 1 by 3 into 100 I can say. 1 by 3 into 100 will give you how much, dear? 33.33% or 33 1 by 3% loss. Hence your answer has to be 33 1 by 3% loss. Next, the doubt that students get over here is, sir, what if the profit and loss are not equal? Then how do we handle? Let us see with this example. The profit obtained by selling an article for rupees 940 is equal to thrice the loss incurred when it is sold for rupees 580. Then find CP. Check now. In this case, profit and loss are not equal. Then how should I deal with the equation here? Check. I have a cost price. The profit obtained by selling an article for rupees 940 is 3 times of the loss incurred when it is sold for 580. Means when I sell it for 580, there is some loss. If I sell it for 940, there is some gain. The gain I am making over here is 3 times of the loss I am making here. That means if the loss I am making was K, the gain I am making here will be what? 3K. If the loss I am making was K, the gain I am making is 3K. From here till here, what is the distance in value? You check. Generally, people will frame the equation 940 minus CP equal to 3 into CP minus 580. Don't do that. Not needed. I can do it in a very simple manner. How, sir? You simply check the distance in value. From here to here, the distance in value is 360. What is the distance in parts? Here to here K, here to here 3K. Together it is how much? 4K. If 4K is 360, from this I can say K is equal to what? K is equal to 90. K is equal to 90. So if I am selling it for 580, my loss was 90. When I am selling it for 580, my loss was 90. Means the cost price has to be how much? When I am selling it for 580, loss is 90. Cost price will be from here to here. When I move, I need to add it. So 580 plus 90 will give me the cost price. Hence your cost price has to be how much? 670. 670. That is the best approach, going by that line diagram. If you wish to go by equation, I'll show you that also. The profit obtained by selling an article for 940 is this 940 minus C. That is equal to 3 times of the loss incurred when it is sold for 580. So 3 times of CP minus 580. Solving that, you will get the value of CP. That is another way of looking at it. But I prefer line diagram approach only. Next, dear. Next, that model is complete. Next, a trader marks up the price of an article by 60% and sells it at a discount of 15%. Then find the gain or loss percent. A trader marks up the price of an article by 60% and sells it at a discount of 15%. Meaning, as we do not know the cost price, let's assume the cost price as 100. If the cost price is 100, it is marked up by 60%. After marking it up by 60%, it will become the marked price. So 100 rupee article is marked at 160. 100 rupee article is marked at 160. After that, it is being sold at a discount of 15%. Discount is 15%. 10% is 16, 5% is 8. 15% I am trying to calculate here. 10% on this will be 16, 5% will be 8. 15% will add up to 16 plus 8, 24. There is a discount of 24 I am offering. It will now be sold for rupees 136. So selling price is becoming 136. The cost price is 100, selling price became 136. Means in the transaction there is a gain. A gain of how much? 100 rupee article is sold for 136, means there is a gain of 36% in the entire transaction. Hence your answer has to be profit is 36%. Next, a trader marks up the price of an article by 40% and sells it at a discount of 30%. Then find the gain or loss percent. Same as the previous. Marked up by 40, gave a discount of only 30, but still there will be a loss in this transaction. You check 100. You may be feeling that you are marking it up by more, 40% above you have marked. So what is the marked price over here? 140, that is MP. Then it is sold at a discount of 30%. 30%. 10% is 14. 30% it should be how much? 42. 30% is 42. 140, there is a discount of 42. Means it is sold for rupees 98. So selling price is 98. A 100 rupee article is sold for 98 now. 100 rupees article is sold at 98. Even though, see, you may be feeling like generally students feel, major number of people felt, sir, markup is percentage more, discount percentage less, how can there be a loss? It can be. You marked up by 40%, no doubt, but 30% on that is happening to be more than this one. Marking up by 40 rupees, offering a discount of 42 rupees, means you are selling it for 98 only. That means there is a loss. A loss of how much? 100 rupees article is sold for 98, means there is a loss of 2% in the transaction. So in the overall transaction, there is a loss of 2%. Hence your answer has to be 2% loss. Next, please. A shopkeeper labeled the price of his article so as to earn a profit of 30% on the cost price. So as to earn a profit of 30% on the cost price. He then sold the articles by offering a discount of 10%. He then sold the articles by offering a discount of 10% on the labeled price. 10% on the labeled price. What is the actual percent profit earned in the deal? What is the actual profit percent earned in the deal? Okay. Is marking it up in such a way that he is getting a profit of 30%, but he is offering a discount of 10%. That means 100 rupees article he has marked at 130. That was his target. He was willing to get 30% profit, means he is marking at 130 rupees. So without any discount, if he is selling, he would have got 30% profit. But what happened then? He offered a discount of 10%. The discount has to be taken on the market price. The 10% has to be calculated on 130, which is nothing but 13. On 130 rupees, if you are offering a discount of 10%, that is 13 rupees. You are ready to sell it for how much? 117. The 100 rupee article is sold for 117. In the transaction, there is a gain. A gain of how much, dear? 100 rupee article is sold for 117, means there is a gain of 17%. There is a gain of 17%. Right? That gain should correspond to 17%. So in the overall transaction, there is a gain of 17%. That should be option D. Next, by selling an article for rupees 780, a merchant gains 30%. Then find the cost price. As we know, the gain or loss is taken on the cost price. Directly we start by assuming the cost price as 100. If the cost price is 100, if the cost price is 100, if the cost price is 100, by selling it, if there is a gain of 30%, so it has to be sold for, selling price must correspond to, as there is a gain of 30%, selling price must correspond to 130. If the cost price is 100, selling price should be 130. But in the problem, they said it is not 130, that is given as 780. So if the cost price is 100, selling price should become 130. But in the problem, they give selling price is 780. So cost price is not 100. So how much? How many times, dear? 6 times over here. Here also you take 6 times. So 100 into 6 will give you how much? 600. Since your answer has to be 600. Right, dear? So cost price should be 600. Next, there may be a loss. By selling an article for rupees 560, a merchant loses 30%. By selling it for 560, a merchant is losing 30% means if the cost price is 100, if the cost price is 100 and there is a loss of 30%, if there is a loss of 30%, selling price must correspond to 30% loss means selling price must correspond to 70. A 100 rupee article is sold for 70. 100 rupee article is sold for 70. But in the problem, they said it is not 70. It is given as 560. So this is also not 100. So how much? Check how many times. How many times here? 8 times. Here also you take 8 times. 8 times of 100 should give you how much, dear? 800. Hence the cost price has to be 800. Next. By selling an article for rupees 720, a merchant loses 20%. At what price must he sell it to gain 30%? So here the second selling price is introduced. So in the first case, when there is a loss of 20%, selling price was 720. If there is a gain of 30%, selling price is what? Let me try to put it in a table better. Cost price. If the cost price is 100, if there is a gain, if there is a loss of 20%, selling price in the first case corresponds to 20% loss. Selling price in the first case corresponds to 80. At what price must he sell to gain 30%? To gain 30%, selling price corresponds to 30% gain. Means selling price corresponds to 130. If the cost price is 100, to lose 20%, selling price is 80. To gain 30%, selling price is 130. But in the problem they said, it is not 80. This is given as 720. 720. So this is how much? This is how much? How many times, dear? 9 times. So 9 times of 130 has to give you how much? 1170. 1170. So in order to gain 30%, the same article has to be sold for 1170. The beauty of this approach is, without you finding the cost price of the article, you can directly get the selling price. That's the beauty of this method of solving the problem. Next, dear. By selling an article for rupees 450, a man loses 10%. The gain or loss percent if he sells it for rupees 540 is similar to the previous one. Slight difference is there. Let's assume the cost price is 100. If the cost price is 100, in the first case there is a loss of 10%. Selling price in the first case must be, if there is a loss of 10%, selling price in the first case must be 90. But that 90 is given as how much? 450. That 90 is given as 450. Now what is the gain or loss percent if it is sold for 540 he is asking for. So what is the gain or loss percent if he sells it for 540? Means you have to identify that value over there. How do we identify? By the same process. This is how many times, dear? This article is 5 times this article. In reverse, if you check, this is 1/5 of this. It should also be 1/5 of this. 1/5 of 540 should give you how much? 108. 1/5 of 540 is equal to 108. That means a 100 rupee article is now corresponding to 108. Means in the transaction there will be a gain or loss. Definitely gain. That gain is how much? 8%. Because that 540 is corresponding to 108 means if the cost price is 100, that becomes 108. So 100 is becoming 108 means in the transaction there is a gain of 8%. Hence your answer has to be gain of 8%. Hence that should be option A. Option A. Next, dear. This is the next one. Two selling prices only. Here they are talking about the difference between the selling prices. Right? You just go through that and give it a try. First read the problem. Right, dear? Read. Anita sold a painting at a profit of 11%. Had she sold it for rupees 175 more, had she sold it for rupees 175 more, she would have gained 18%. The cost price of the painting is what? Okay. Let us start. Cost price. In the first case, there is a selling price. In the second case, there is a selling price. Two selling prices they have given. They have also given the difference between the selling prices. Difference between the selling prices also they have given. Oh dear. Let us start. If the cost price is 100, if the cost price is 100, in the first case there is a gain of 11%. So selling price would have been, if it is sold at a gain of 11%, selling price corresponds to 111. If there is a gain of 18%, selling price corresponds to 118. In the problem that 175, whatever is given is representing the difference between the selling prices. According to our assumption, if the cost price is 100, to go from 11% gain to 18% gain, to go from 11% gain to 18% gain, I need to sell it for how much more? I was selling it for 111, I need to sell it for 118. So I need to sell it for how much more here? 7 more. If the cost price is 100, I need to sell it for rupees 7 more. The difference between the selling price would have been 7, provided the cost price is 100. But in the problem they said it is not 7, that is clearly mentioned as 175. If that is 175, this is how much? Check how many times. So this is how many times, dear? 25 times. 25 times of 100 will give you how much, dear? 2500. Right, dear? That's how we get. There was a similar problem in GATE. Let me show you that. So answer for that is what? 2500. That should be option C. Similar problem was given in GATE. Please give it a try. Read the problem. Done. Chalo. A fruit seller sold fruits at 12.5% loss. Cost price 100. A fruit seller sold a basket of fruits at 12.5% loss. First case, if there is a loss of 12.5%, selling price in the first case must be 87.5. Had he sold it for rupees 108 more, as he sold it for rupees 108 more, he would have gained 10%. To gain 10%, selling price must correspond to 10% gain means selling price must correspond to 110. Selling price must correspond to 110. What is this 108? That 108 represents the difference between the first case selling price and second case selling price. So if the cost price is 100, difference between the selling prices would have been difference between the selling prices would have been 22.5. Right? If the cost price is 100, to go from 12.5% loss to 10% gain, you need to sell it for 22.5 more. But in the problem, they said it is not 22.5 more. That is given as 108 more. But the question is not what is the cost price. Please keep that in mind. Without that, I can still manage. Find the loss in rupees he is asking for. So without finding the cost price, I can get that loss. The loss that fellow has made is 12.5%. So the loss is corresponding to 12.5% of 12.5% of the cost price. That's the loss he has got. So 12.5% loss is there. Selling price corresponds to 87.5. So question is what? Not the selling price. They're asking you for the loss, not you. Okay. So loss is corresponding to 12.5. 12.5% of 100, I can say. 12.5% of 100. So if this 22.5 is corresponding to 108, if that 22.5 is corresponding to 108, 12.5 corresponds to what? 12.5 corresponds to what? Unfortunately, that's a decimal number. Relationship between these two, it is difficult to establish. To make it simple, I'll tell you one range technique here. What is that range technique? Check out, this is how many times of 22.5. I'm very much sure that this is more than half of this, because half of 22.5 is 11.25. Right? So I can say that this is more than half of 22.5. If this is more than half of this number, this should also be more than half of this number. So more than half of 22.5. Right here. More than half of 22.5. Here also answer will be more than half of 108. Half of 108 means that should be how much? 54. That should be more than 54. More than 54. Which options you can eliminate? 48, 52. You are left with 60 and 108. It can't be 108. That can't be 108. Why that can't be 108? Why it can't be 108? As 22.5 itself is 108, as 22.5 itself is 108, 12.5 becoming 108 is impossible. That's why your answer can't be 108. So how many options are more than 54? There is only one option. That should be option C. Next, let's have a look at another problem. Details of prices of two items P and Q are presented in the given table. The ratio of the cost price of item P to the cost of item Q is given as 3:4. Discount is calculated as the difference between the market price and the selling price. The profit percentage is calculated as the ratio of the difference between selling price and cost to the cost. That is nothing but profit is taken on the cost price. That's what they mean by. Now the question is the discount on item Q as a percentage of its market price is what? So what is the discount percent they are asking? Now to get the discount percent, you should know market price and selling price. We know the selling price of item Q here, market price of item Q here, profit percent I know. If I know cost price, I can get the selling price of item Q. With the help of that, I can get the discount percent. So what we do? Check. So cost price of Q will become how much? Let us write here. Cost price of P is to cost price of Q, we know. Cost price of P is to cost price of Q is given as 3:4. This is the data given in the problem. And out of that, cost price of P is known as 5,400. This 3 parts is 5,400. This 4 parts is how much? As this is 1800 times, this should also be taken as 1800 times. That gives you the cost price of Q. Next, as we know, cost price of Q here and profit percent. Cost price of Q, I got it as 7,200. And according to the data in the table, they give there is a gain of 25%. Selling price of Q will become how much if there is a gain of 25%? That 25% gain has to be taken on the cost price. 25% of this will be 1800. That gives you the selling price of Q. Selling price of Q. And we know the market price of Q in the data, that is 10,000. So as you know the market price of Q and selling price of Q, I can get the discount percent. So market price is to selling price. Market price is 10,000, we know. Selling price we got it as 9,000. Discount percent I can find now. So discount is calculated on the market price. So discount percent is equal to, there is a discount of 1,000. There is a discount of 1,000 on 10,000. So 1,000 by 10,000 into 100. That will give you how much, dear? 10%. So the discount is corresponding to 10%. Hence your answer has to be 10% discount. That should be option C. Next question. The manufacturer of a table sells it to a wholesale dealer at a profit of 10%. The wholesale dealer sells the table to a retailer at a profit of 30%. Finally, the retailer sells it to the customer at a profit of 50%. If the customer is paying rupees 4,290, then find the manufacturing cost. So manufacturer to wholesaler 10%, wholesaler to retailer 30%, retailer to customer 50%. Okay. Let us start with the wholesaler. So manufacturer's cost, let us take it as 100. If the cost for the manufacturer is 100, he is charging 10% above to the wholesale dealer. So this is manufacturer, this is wholesale dealer. Wholesale dealer will pay 110 rupees and purchase that article. Wholesale dealer will now sell it to the retailer at a profit of 30%. So you will increase that price by 30% and sell it to the retailer. So retailer will pay 143 rupees. 30% of 110. 10% of 110 is 11. 30% it will be 33. That is becoming 143. Retailer is selling it to the customer. Finally selling it to the customer at a gain of 50%. 50% of this 10%, like 50% is half of that. That will give you how much, dear? 71.50. That will give you how much, dear? 214.50. If the manufacturer's cost was 100, the customer would have paid 214.50. But in the problem they said it is not 214.50, it is given as 4290. How many times, dear? 214.5 into 2 will give you 429, 0 is there. So 20 times I can say. Yes, that is 20 times. Here also you should take 20 times. So manufacturer's cost price would be how much? 20 times of 100. That is corresponding to how much, dear? 2000. Hence your answer has to be 2000. That should be option B. Next concept is concept of successive discount. What is successive discount first of all? Successive discount is nothing but the discount that is offered on the discounted price. See, On the marked price, I will offer some discount. The next discount will be offered on the discounted price. On this, next discount will be taken. On this resultant price, the next discount will be taken. Like that, the successive discounts will be calculated. Now they are asking you for two successive discounts of 25% and 40% is equal to a single discount of. So we assume the market price over here because the discounts are given on market price. So if the market price is 100, there are two successive discounts of 25% and 40%. If a discount of 25% is offered, how much the buyer has to pay? 75. But he got another discount. That another discount is 40. That has to be taken on 75. So what is 40% of this? 10% of this will be 7.5. 40% it has to be 4 times of 7.5. That will give you 30. So instead of you giving two discounts, if you wish to give a single discount directly, how much discount you can give without finding this value? Still I can get the answer. So instead of I giving two discounts, I can give a single discount of how much? On 100 rupees, I can directly give a discount of 25 and 30. 25 plus 30. Together, how much discount I can give? 55 rupees discount I can give. Instead of giving two discounts, if I want to give a single discount, directly I can give a single discount of 55 on 100. Hence, it will be how much percent? 55%. So instead of giving two discounts, you can directly give a single discount of 55%. While calculating this, instead of you doing this subtraction, to find the single discount, you go for adding these values. This and this you add, that is enough. Right? Hence your answer has to be 55%. Let's see 3 discounts if they are there. How do we handle? 3 successive discounts of 20, 10 and 5 is equal to a single discount of 3 successive discounts of 20, 10 and 5. If the market price is 100, 3 successive discounts of 20, 10 and 5, 20% discount. You can sell it for 80. Another 10% discount. You can sell it for 72. Another 5% discount. This is the final discount. 5% will be on this. 10% will be 7.2. 5% is 3.6. Do not find that value. You can simply go for adding these 3 values. Add the values, not percentages. 20 plus 8 rupees plus 3.6 rupees. Totally you can give a discount of 31.6 rupees for every 100. Hence I can call it as 31.6% discount straight away. So instead of giving 3 discounts, if I want to give a single discount, I can directly give a discount of how much? 31.6%. Next, dear. So like this, you can have any number of discounts. See, there are formulae, but I don't recommend you to learn the formulae. Go by the logic. If you know percentages, doing like this is without using pen and paper is highly possible. Next. If after successive discounts of 30, 20 and 10, a customer has to pay 250 to final price they have given. What is the list price? So market price they are asking you for. If the market price is 100, after 3 successive discounts of 30, 20 and 10, 30% discount is given first. So 70. Next 20% discount is taken on 70. That is 14. That will be 56. Next third 10% discount is given. That is 5.6. My question is not what is single discount. The question is what is the cost price. What is the market price. So what is this I have to find. To know that this final value is given. So let us estimate that. From 56 if you remove 5.6. That will give you 50.4. If the market price is 100, customer would have paid 50.4. But in the problem they said it is not 50.4. That is given as 252. So this is not 100. So how much? Check how many times. This is 5 times. Here also you take 5 times. 5 times of 100 will give you how much, dear? 500. Hence we can say that the list price of that article is how much? 500 rupees. Next, dear, there is one more discount called as quantity discount. Quantity discount means you might have seen something like this. Buy 4, get 1 free. I have 4 articles which has some market price. You are not asking for any price discount. I am saying you buy this 4, pay the money for this 4, I'll give you this 5. That means this 5th one is free for you. That means I am selling how many articles in the transaction? Please be careful over here. I am selling in total how many articles over here? I am giving away 5 articles because 4 paid 1 free. Together I sold 5. Received the money of only 4. Received the money, which money? Market price of 4. So I can now say that buy 4 get 1 free means, buy 4 get 1 free means, from the seller's point of view, he is selling 5 articles, 4 paid and 1 free. Together he gave away 5, for which he has received only the market price of 4 articles. So I can say selling price of 5 is equal to market price of 4. That's all. Once you get this, you will get the ratio of MP and SP. Ratio of market price and selling price is, market price is to selling price is MP by SP is equal to 5 by 4. 5 is to 4. He is asking you for discount percent. What is the discount over here? Discount over here is 1 for every 5. To convert that into percentage, multiply it with 100. That gives you how much, dear? 20%. So there is one more way of saying this one. So discount is 20% here. One more way of giving the statement is buy 4 get 1 free. Na? Without using the word free, they can also say buy 4 get 5. Both are same. Buy 4 get 5 is same as buy 4 get 1 free. So buy 4 get 5 means pay the money for 4, pay the market price of 4, collect 5 articles. So from the point of view of the seller, he is selling 5 articles, receive the money of only 4 articles. That's why selling price of 5 equal to market price of 4. Establish the relation. You will get the ratio. That will give you the discount percent. As simple as that. Hence your answer has to be 20% discount over here. Next, dear. There is one standard formula. There is one standard formula. What is that? This one. If 2 articles are sold at the same price, if 2 articles are sold at the same price, one at a gain of X% and the other at a loss of X%, one at a gain of X% and the other at the loss of X%, in the overall transaction, there will always be a loss of, there will always be a loss. In the overall transaction, there will always be a loss of, how much, dear? X square by 100%. This formula you can remember and apply whenever the selling price of 2 articles is same. If 2 articles are sold at the same price and there is a profit of X% on one article and there is a loss of X% on the other article, then you can directly use this formula and there will always be a loss. Please keep that in mind. Chalo, let's have a look at the problem. 2 motor cars were sold for rupees 9,900 each. Gaining 10% on one and losing 10% on the other. Gaining 10% on one and losing 10% on the other. The gain or loss percent in the whole transaction is, the gain or loss percent in the whole transaction is. So here in the whole transaction, as we have said just now, there will always be a loss over here. A loss of how much? So overall loss percent. So overall loss percent will be there. So overall loss percent is given by the formula. Overall loss percent is given by the formula X square by 100. So X is 10 here. That is 10 square by 100%. 10 square means 100. 100 by 100 is nothing but what? 1. So in the overall transaction, there is a loss of 1%. Hence your answer has to be option D. Option D. Right here. So this model you can remember the formula, that is very helpful. Look at this. This is a problem I have taken from UPSC Engineering Services exam. Read that. A man sold a chair and a table together for rupees 7,600. If they give you combined prices, go by equations. Thereby making a profit of 25% on the chair and 10% on the table. So if there is a profit of 25% on the chair, he is collecting 25% more than the cost of the chair. Let's assume the cost of the chair as C, table as T. If so, on chair there is a profit of 25%, means first selling price is 125% of the chair and 10% on the table, so it is sold for 110% of the table. That should give you 7,600. Next, by selling them together for 7,500, he would make a profit of 10% on the chair and 20% on the table. 10% on the chair means he is selling it for 110% of the chair cost. 110% of the chair's cost plus 20% on the table means that is corresponding to 120% of the table. That is equal to 7,500. 7,500. Right, dear? Now, going ahead with. So here solving these two equations is a little bit risky and time taking. The best approach for this is going by the options, right? So if your percentage calculation skill is decent enough, you can easily test it. Let's go with the first option. The first option, chair is given as 3,000. This is 4,000. 3,000, 4,000. Okay. On 3,000, take 25%. 25% of 3,000 is 750. Add 750 because 125%. Na? That will become 3,750 plus 110% of table. So 10% of 4,000 is 400. 110% of 4,000 is 4,400. Is it adding up to 7,600? Definitely no. It is not equal to 7,600. Keep it aside. So that can't be your answer. B. 3,500 and 4,000. 3,500. On 3,500, if I take 25%, 25% of 3,500 will be 875. That will become 875. You add it to the cost price 3,500. For 3,500, if I add 875, that will become 4,375 plus on 4,000, if I take 10%, that will be 4,400. This is also not adding up to 7,600. That is also not my answer. Let's go for checking options. You see, worst case, we have to test for only 3 options. In an exam with 4 options, maximum we test for 3 options. If first 3 are not working, worst case, 4th one is your answer. So we'll check only for 3 max. Chalo, third option. 3,000, 3,500. Right. On 3,000, 25% will be 750. So that will become 3,750. On 3,500, 10% if you add, that is 110%. That is 3,850. Is it adding up to 7,600? Definitely yes. First condition satisfied. Now test the second condition. On 3,000, if I take 10%, that will become 300. So that will be 3,300. 3,000 plus 10%, that is 3,300 plus. On 3,500, I have to take 20%. So 3,500, 20% is 700. 3,500 plus 700 will give you 4,200. Is that adding up to 7,500? Yes, that is also happening. So second condition is also satisfied. For which option? Third option. Hence your answer has to be option C. That should be your answer. Right, dear? That's the end of this topic. For more videos and shortcut techniques, please follow, like, share and subscribe, and please follow our channel. Thank you.